Hello everyone, my name is Qoonitah Sarii, and today I want to introduce and review a book called Understanding Morphology by Martin Haspelmalt. It was published in 2002. But before I start, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why cats has an S but sheep stays the same? Or why we can say unhappy but not unsaid? Questions like this may seem simple, but they actually relate to how language works at a deeper level. If you're ever thought about questions like that, then you're already thinking in the area of morphology. In this video, I'll explain what the book is about, and then its strengths and weaknesses, and why I think it is still worth reading, especially for English students and future educators. So let's get started. So what is this book actually about? The book focuses on morphology, of course, because of its title, Understanding Morphology, which is the study of how words are formed and structured in language. To put it simply, words are not just single units. They are made of smaller, meaningful parts. For example, the word unreadable can be broken into three parts: un, read, and able. Even if you have never seen the word before, you can still understand it because your brain just recognizes the structure. This book explains how that works in a systematic way. It introduces basic concepts like morphemes, which is the smallest unit of meaning in the language. Then it moves into more advanced topics such as inflection, which is how words change form without changing their basic meaning, like walk, walk, and walks. It also discusses derivation, which is how new words are created, like happy to happiness. The book further explains how different languages form words in different ways, not just English. So it doesn't focus on only languages only, but looks at language structure more generally. The main goal of this book is to help students or readers understand how words are structured and why they behave the way they do. This book is intended for English students, English teachers, or educators, as well as anyone interested in how language functions. Now, as someone who's recommending this book to you, I won't say it is a perfect book, but there are definitely some points that makes this book worth reading. So the first strength is its clear and logical structure. Like, each chapter flows in a very natural way. It starts from basic questions like what morphology is, and then moves into more complex topics such as morphemes, and then affixes, inflections, and beyond of that. So nothing feels sudden or out of place. For example, the writer begins with simple examples like nut plus s, which is nuts, showing how a word can be broken into meaningful parts. Then he builds up to more complex forms like rewriting, which is rewriting, where you can clearly see multiple layers on meaning. This step-by-step progression makes the ideas easier to follow, especially by beginners. And the second strength is the learning support provided in each chapter. So at the end of every chapter, there are summaries and then suggestions for further readings and also exercises. This helps readers review what they have learned and practice their understanding. And then for the third strength is the depth of explanation. So this book doesn't just define concepts, it also introduces different theoretical approaches in morphology, such as the morpheme-based and then word-based models, and explains how linguistics analyze language differently using these perspectives. So overall, it pushes you to think, not just memorize it. Because nothing is perfect in this world, this book also has some weaknesses. The first weakness is that some parts can feel quite dense for beginners. Because the explanations are quite academic, certain chapters may need to be read more than once to fully understand them. And then for the second weakness is its cross-linguistic focus. So the book uses many examples from different languages, not only English. While this is great for linguistics, it can feel less familiar if you're mainly focused on English learning. And then for the third weakness is that it doesn't focus on teaching practice. So the book explains linguistic theory very well, but it doesn't show how to apply it directly in classroom teaching. So for English education students, you still need to connect the theory to practice with yourself. So despite those weaknesses, why should we still read this book? Okay, let's imagine a simple situation. One day you're teaching a class and your student asks you, why does cats have S but sheep doesn't change at all? If your answer is only because that's a rule, then you're simply repeating information. But if you understand morphology, you can explain that English has different pattern of word formation, like some nouns follow regular plural patterns while others are irregular or unchanged. And I think that's the biggest value of this book. It helps you understand language more deeply instead of just memorizing the rules. Before studying morphology, many of us just simply accept language as it is. We know the rules, but we don't always understand why those rules exist. So this book changed that perspective. It trains readers to see words not just as vocabulary items, but as systems with structure, patterns, and also meaning. For English students and future teachers or educators, that understanding is really valuable because teaching language become easier when you actually understand how the language works. How the language works. So even though this book can sometimes feel challenging, I still think it's one of the most useful books for students who want a stronger foundation in linguistic and English language study. So to conclude, Understanding Morphology by Martin Hasselmad is a very useful book for understanding how words are structured and how language works at a deeper level. It may not always be easy to read, and it is not specifically designed for classroom teaching, but it provides a strong theoretical foundation for anyone interested in linguistic or English language studies. Whether you are preparing to become a teacher or writing academic papers or simply curious about language, this book is definitely worth to read. So please read, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.